What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. I've been talking a little bit about the EA lawsuits that are pending, and I'll probably have the journalist I had back on, but some big news today is EA has responded to it, and I'm a little bit taken back with how they responded. It basically, they came out and said, listen, our games are not slot machines or devices, and they liken them to the fact that, one, if they're defining it that way, it has to be a machine, an apparatus, or a device where you insert money, and that the operation of the machine would be governed by chance. Their response to this is, it actually is a game of skill, much like pinball or another amusement park device or machine, and because they are skill-based, they afford the opportunity for additional purchases or free plays, and are not included within the terms of a slot machine or device. Now, obviously, this doesn't fall within that same groundwork, but this is the approach that they're taking. So, in other words, because Madden is predominantly skill-based, they can't be held as a slot machine. This is going to get very, very interesting. In fact, I left this page up because you can see this is from the legal documentation. Instead of focusing his complaint on the allegations concerning the requirements of the actual code that they brought against, they're suggesting that the theory that they have is so obvious that facts are unnecessary. Now, they go on to discuss some facts about EA having professional players, and that means there is no dispute that FIFA and Madden are games of skill. And that essentially, if you improperly exercise the game of skill through Madden Ultimate Team, it would not matter how good of a team you purchased. So, this is all my interpretation of their response. Obviously, I'm not a legal expert. I would probably recommend you go read these things yourself. But essentially what they did come out is say, these are baseless allegations, that they are not a slot machine or device. And in contrary to that, this should be rejected and not even considered. I don't know personally how I feel about this. I didn't know how EA was going to respond, number one. This is not the response I expected. I think this response, personally, puts them in a little bit of a box. Because you can't make the distinction between a carnival game or a pinball game in Madden Ultimate Team or Madden. And it seems like they're very distinct in taking this very straight approach of, this is why it's not gambling, this is why it's not a gambling device, this is why it's a loot box. And this is such a stark contrast to the concept that they literally used before with the Kinder Eggs. They literally used the Kinder Eggs. So try in your mind to make a distinction between a Kinder Egg toy and a pinball machine. Those are so far apart from each other. If this was their legal ground to stand on, why weren't they using this before? And to fall back on the fact that it's so skill-based, right, that even if you bought all these cards, it wouldn't matter, and otherwise recommending the fact that since these don't have any value outside of the game, which they say right here, it doesn't make sense to look at them this way, is going to be a real big issue because there are value for these cards outside the game. You know, when they say, second, neither the EA games nor any features within those games are a machine, apparatus, or device, I would argue that they actually are a device. When they say that the games do not receive a quote-unquote thing of value based on the alleged operation of the pack, I would say that's relatively false. I mean, if you and me open up Madden Ultimate Team packs, we're obviously using the console to do that. And if you get a pack of better cards than I do, you got something more of value. So it's almost as if they're devaluing their product while they increase the sales of their product to sit here and try to defend what they're doing is right. And I don't know how or why they would approach it this way. I mean, this literally is one of the most shocking things I've seen EA do. I mean, do they not understand how their own product works? They do understand that it is an insertion of money or currency to operate the machine, right? And that it is unpredictable and governed by chance, at least with what EA has. That's my interpretation. Yet they're basically coming back and saying, no, that's not how any of this works. This is a skill-based game. So it doesn't matter if you get good cards or not. We have professional Madden players. Well, I would argue, why do all the professional Madden players I see, particularly with their Derwin James versus the world, use all the best cards then? That literally flies in the face of what they're trying to say here. If it's skill-based, then why do they put percentages on the packs? If it's skill-based, why do you sell gold, bronze, and silver packs in the past? Why wouldn't all the cards be the same? Why would you even have them tiered? Why would you have level ups for cards? It's all the same, right? It's a skill-based game, so it doesn't matter. So the way they're defending this actually contradicts the way they offer it to the customer, at least, again, my interpretation of this. And for them to basically come out and say, hey, this is such common sense, we don't even really need to show proof. This is such a dumb case to bring against us, we're not even going to bother because we know logic and reason that we have is going to win out. Well, if that was the case, don't you think they would have never brought a lawsuit to begin with? And all this is going to do is have people more, I guess, geared to ask, what is the value here? You're telling us you're selling something of little to no value outside of your game. Well, how much money are you making with that? That, to me, is what's really shocking. Is that you and I know, because we're in this community, there's millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars being made. And yet, when it comes up in court, it would appear that EA takes the stance of, but these don't have any value outside of our game. Gamers just love to throw money at these packs, get very poor cards, and they say, oh, it's just like that time I had a really good experience at the pinball game and I won 3 extra free turns. I would argue that anyone that's played Madden for more than 15 minutes or has ever spent a moment in EA Ultimate Teams of any game would have a very difficult time likening it to a pinball machine. In fact, I literally had to sit down and try to make that correlation because to me, as a gamer, those two things don't make any sense. I mean, if you can actually write a small thesis of how Madden Ultimate Team is the same as playing a pinball game because it's a game of chance, and that somehow alleviates them from selling Ultimate Team packs because now they don't matter, I would love to see it. I would offer that EA probably doesn't have much more of a leg to stand on with that. Because the fact of the matter, they're coming out and saying, hey, we don't need to actually supply facts to this. Now, it is interesting that they go on to talk about professional Madden players, basically making a living off of this. And that it's skill-based. Because I guess it really depends how deep somebody wants to get into this. Right? Because if it's skill-based, why are you putting salary caps on teams last year? If it's skill-based, why did you remove them this year? It's almost like they knew what was coming and they did things gradually to try to steer themselves out of it. Like, really, really clamp down on the resellers. There's a reason, in my opinion, that all of a sudden, these non-valuable cards now have value kicked back to creators in our community that align with EA because they want to put in their name when they purchase packs. So, I don't know. Again, all my interpretation, but to me, this is the ultimate slap in the face, no pun intended, with EA and its customer. They're basically saying in this, and again, this is all my opinion, that we are so stupid as customers, we will actually give them millions of dollars for something of zero value that does not matter because we know Madden is a skill game, and all these packs and players and cards they promote, they don't really mean anything. We just enjoy the atmosphere of looking at the cards getting opened, I guess. It's astonishing to me. And it really does fly in the face of a company that literally is advertising these packs and cards with Madden Ultimate Team right now with scary fast, scary strong, scary tall. If it doesn't matter, then why are you doing all that? It doesn't matter means it doesn't matter. Love to know your guys' thoughts on this, though. Appreciate you checking it out. You know I will be back in the week with more commentary.